I figured out what makes art valuable. You might think it's a function of effort, but you'd be wrong. It's all about the thumbtacks. Or the lack thereof, really. What you gotta do is put your artwork into a fancy frame so it'll match fancy decor. But this gave me an idea. Why don't we laser a custom fancy frame? We have the power! It's gotta look fancy like a violin with organic lines and probably focal points in the corners and eyeballs, of course. But then it was just getting too complicated to draw by hand.
We'll have to go digital.
Once the DXF file was complete, Aeon took over due to her outrageous capacity for precision and speed. And of course, all the parts turned out perfect. So now let's get into some color. Starting with the gilded giblets on the front, we're gonna slap on some gold spray, and then we're gonna switch to the bottom layer, which gets a nice white prime. The middle layer gets a spray of Eden for its first coat, and then we're gonna break out the barely functioning airbrush with a mixed darker green to make a gradient. And anyone who's used an airbrush knows they're just finicky as hell. And then while that's drying, we're gonna hit the bottom layer again with some smooth, buttery yellow. This is the color I imagined first when I picture a VW Bug. Then we're gonna break out the wet palette, and this is when things nearly went completely off the rails. Mistakes were made. I tried to paint every single stripe individually, which took forever. So I switched to plan B, sprayed over it, and whipped out the sea sponges to reapply the gradient, much to the burning objection of my deltoids. Then back to the bottom layer to sponge that bitch too, and now it's time to assemble. Which is kinda delicate, because honestly, it needs to be like perfectly flat in order to be a good frame. Success! Looks flat to me. Now to attach the other layers onto the front, making sure to get some of the glue onto all the little extremities. And last but not least, the gilded filigree. Perfect! Now we're gonna load her up with one of my art prints and then put it up on the wall.
If this were for sale, would you buy one?